Welcome to From Nothing to Profit, a photographer's podcast with Matt and Kaya, where each week they talk to photographers about what is working in their business now so you can swipe those ideas and grow your business faster.
Okay, welcome back everyone to From Nothing to Profit. This is Kaya Bondurant, and I'm going to be interviewing my co-host Matt Hoaglin today. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. So we already recorded my interview, and I didn't know if I would like this as much, but I think I like being the boss better. I'm like, now I'm in charge, so I get to talk about you.
That's perfect. You can be in charge of whatever you want, and like we talked about in your interview, I can outsource everything to you if you'd like.
That's funny. No, so Matt, you and your wife Alison own Alison Ragsdale Photography in Durango, Colorado, and that supports both of you. And Alison, even though she's not on this, we'll talk about her. She's fantastic. She never wanted to do anything besides be a photographer. So she started out being a photographer from the very beginning. Is that right? Right.
From the very beginning, she went to college and got her degree in photography, and we started the business like the week she got out of college.
And so you're more like me. We both have education degrees, although yours is high school math. And you managed a camera store, and now you run the marketing and the operations of your photography studio.
Yeah, exactly. So Alison and I actually met at that camera store because her part-time job when she was in school was at the camera store. So we met there and started dating, and then eventually moved to Durango and got married and built a business and stuff together. But yeah, so I taught high school math for a while, which was really awesome, but I'm really kind of glad I stopped doing that at the same time. Yeah, now I just run, like you said, operations and marketing for our business. So make sure that the phone rings and the calendar gets booked so that she can go out and photograph.
Yeah. And you're able to build your life around what you love to do.
So one of my passions, just total side note, one of my passions is fly fishing. And so what I love about the business that we've built is I fly fish at least one day a week, if not more. It's awesome because I can do it on a random Wednesday when there's nobody else on the river. And I love the business that we built and the lifestyle that it's given us for sure.
Yeah. And I think that that's really good to bring that up because as photographers and as small business owners and entrepreneurs, with this podcast, our goal is to teach people to go from nothing to profit. But part of that is making a business that works around who you are and who you want to be.
It's definitely not going from like entrepreneur to like business slave, like that's not the goal. It's definitely, to build a business that provides your lifestyle that you want, whatever that is. The lifestyle that Alison and I wanted to build is we wanted to work together and be able to take vacations and stuff together. And if we were working at two different companies, that would have never happened. And so it was really important for us to be on the exact same schedule. And that's what we built.
Yeah. And one that you can take off whenever it's convenient for you. And you don't have to worry about spring breaks or summer vacations or things like that.
Yeah. And we're just now, after like 11 years of business, trying to figure out how to like vacation and do things separately because we do so much stuff together. We travel together a lot. And this December, I have a week-long fly fishing trip in Mexico for saltwater fishing, and she's not going. So it'll be really interesting to see what it's like to have a whole 7 days with just my buddies and not have her there because, like I said, the business and life we built was to spend a lot of time together. So it's exciting to see what this will bring.
It'll be fun to see what she does in her 7 days without you too.
I know. And she's such a foodie person that I think that she's going to end up going somewhere where there's like crazy good food for a week with her friends. And, she'll probably, the wine bill will probably be huge, but that's okay. She'll love every minute of it.
That's funny. In my interview, we didn't really talk about this, but, my studio is built so that I go to work 3 days a week and then I can leave whenever I need to. And I have 4 kids, and that's kind of how my life has been built around making it work for them. So I started out as a photographer just right out of college and then, had kids, and I was a full-time photographer all the way through, but I've always worked my business around my family and what I wanted to do with them, and so that I could be at everything that they do. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that's fun. So it's kind of fun with these interviews to see where things go. That was a bit of a rabbit trail, but I think it's really valuable to know how we structure our lives to make it so that it works for us. Okay. So, Matt, here's my next question for you. I'd love for you to share some of your expertise. Like, what is the area of expertise that you are known for, both maybe Alison Ragsdale and just you, Matt Hoaglin, as well?
Yeah, so I'll start with the studio. So we're mostly a senior portrait studio. We do a lot of family pictures and headshots now, but that grew out of our senior business where, you know, we were like, okay, we have, 100 seniors this year we're photographing. How can we get them back so we don't have to market to them again because they're already clients? And so we're like, well, we're going to photograph their family pictures. And so that kind of grew into this big family business. And then of course that has its own referrals. And then we kind of fell into headshots, professional headshots a lot because a lot of our parents, our kids were business owners or, doing whether they had a side hustle or they own their own business. They said, hey, can you do some headshots for me? And we're like, of course. So that kind of grew as well. And then we do a few weddings a year. And most of that's our high school seniors eventually grow up, go to college, get married. And so they have us photograph their weddings as well. So we don't do a lot of weddings. I mean, like a busy year of weddings is like 10, but we do a few. And so we kind of have a business that does a little bit of everything, but it all stems from our senior portrait business where that's most of our energy and our focus and our marketing all goes into that. Yeah. Separate than that, I'm kind of known in the speaking world for marketing. I have spoken at a number of conferences. That's where you and I first met. And I spent a lot of my day here at Alison Ragsdale Photography, like trying to figure out how to make the phone ring and how to book up the calendar so that, we can have the lifestyle we want and everybody stays busy and the bills get paid. And through that, I've come up with some really cool marketing ideas that I've been able to share with the photography community. And I think that's what people know me most for. Some people do know me for like business operations as well, because I have some advice there, but I would definitely say my passion is teaching photographers how to market so that they can make more money.
Well, and when I think of, how you've helped me in my business, just from, when we first met, sat down and talked, and I feel like it's the marketing side, but from a systematic approach. So it's kind of business operations and marketing put together so that it all works, in a system, and it's easily duplicatable. Yeah.
And so the way there's two things that are really important to me in marketing, which tie right into that. One of them is consistency. I want systems in place so that marketing consistently happens. So it's not like a roller coaster where, you market and you get some clients and then you work with all those clients. And then when they're all done and they've ordered, you have no clients again because you didn't have any time to market. So I want consistency in marketing so that it just flows. People keep flowing in no matter how busy we are. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is I view marketing as a really simple idea. It's basically moving a person from one conversation to the next conversation. So maybe they just have some general questions and then I want to answer those questions and move them on to the next question or the next conversation that's important. And so, they may show up and their conversation they're ready to have is, where are we going to go take pictures? But by the time they come to order, I want them to be thinking about what they want to order as well. So, there's definitely, there's systems there as well to move people along so that they're always knowing what's going on and they're always educated and we're always, always on the same page. So it does feel very systematic because I view marketing as very systematic.
Yeah. It's kind of like the order of operations.
Yes.
There's some song, or what's the order of operations?
Well, when I taught it, we just called it PEMDAS because that's like
PEMDAS. Yeah. I have a great video to send you of one of the kids I know who did a song, made up a song to PEMDAS. Yes. It's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, no, but essentially that's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I never did songs in my classroom because I never went there, but
we could do a order of marketing operations song.
Yeah, well, if we find a really good one, maybe we'll link it in the show notes. But we'll spare all these poor photographers all the.
Oh, Matt, you could wear a cowboy hat. That would be fantastic.
Maybe next time we speak together, maybe we can do
song and dance. All right, Matt. So my next question for you is: tell us a story of what is working now in your business.
So what's working right now is that we spent a lot of time over the last couple of years building lead generation tools in our business. And I just talked about that a little bit about how we want a system where leads and people are coming into our business even when we're busy and we don't have time to market, market. We've built a lot of lead generation tools like what to wear guides and location guides that people can download. And basically they trade their information with us to be able to download that information and answer their pressing questions. And that's been working really well, because then our customer service can just kick in and we can just call them and just say, hey, saw you downloaded our guide, how can we help? And then get them in for a consultation and the whole thing happens. So that's one part of it, is that we have these tools that help customers raise their hand and let us know that they're interested in photography, which makes our marketing a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part that's working really well is that we're running Facebook and Instagram ads to that, and recently Snapchat ads as well to those downloads and tools. That's been super powerful, because the amount of people you can reach with a Facebook or Instagram ad and the power of targeting is really, really awesome. So those two things are really working really great in our business right now. And I probably wouldn't trade them for anything, for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually truly jealous of your lead generation process. And I know you've told me how to do it, and I've sat down and worked on it, but it's something that takes time to put together and put in place. But I know that it's working well for you, and it will work well for anyone in the photography industry.
And I'll share a link in the show notes where people can go watch a free video, and kind of see what we're doing. And then I have a full class on it, but I'll link a free video in the show notes so that people, if they're interested in building lead generation tools and how we do it, they can see exactly how we're doing it.
Yeah, that would be great, because I think that a lot of people, once they hear what it is and understand what it is, they can see how it's worked on them. And then they can see how that can work for their, to bring clients into their business. So here's my next question for you then. What is the one thing that you are most fired up about in our industry today? Like, what gets you excited when it comes to our industry?
So right now, I think there's two things that are happening that I'm really excited about. And I think a lot of photographers are actually really struggling with it. But one of the things that's happening in our business is consolidation. And since you and I have been in the industry for so long, we saw the 2008, 9, 10 bubble of photographers. That was it was amazing. I mean, so many people lost their jobs and had to go get side hustles, or they decided they didn't want to work in corporate America anymore. And so they became photographers, and we just saw how many people flooded the industry. Well, I think that's starting to change. I think with unemployment being so low, there's a lot of people going back to work, and some of the people that just haven't been making great money doing photography look at it and say, well, I'm staying up till midnight editing. I might as well just go get a job where I can just come home at 5 and hang out with my family. And they're just choosing that lifestyle. So I think that I'm really excited about. The hard part I think a lot of photographers are struggling with is that means there's a lot of photographers in your market that are actually, their marketing dollars are actually leaving your market. And I think that when there's competition in your market, we all benefit from that, because somebody may be running Facebook ads and they think, oh, well, I need to do photography, but then they know you better. They have a relationship better. So then they call you, and you don't necessarily know why they call you, because.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So when your competition markets, you get business from it.
Because everybody's thinking about photography, because we're not competing really against each other. We're more competing against, do they come do photography with us, or do they take a trip to Disney, or do they buy a new boat? What are they going to do with their extra money? And we're one of those options. And so when everybody's marketing, our industry is top of mind. But when the industry is consolidating and people are going back to work and leaving the industry, I think there's just less ad dollars out there right now, kind of keeping us top of mind. So I think there's photographers struggling. They can't quite figure out why they're down. And they may be down 10% because they lost 3 of their competitors that were advertising heavily. And so some of those dollars that consumers are spending aren't necessarily coming to our industry.
Wait. But why are you excited about that? You're saying that that's something that you're excited about, but that sounds like a negative to me.
So I'm excited about the consolidation because I think there's just in general less competition. Okay. And the solution to it is just to increase your ad dollars, or just make sure you're advertising as much as possible, because there's more people to go around. It just may feel like a little bit harder to get them right now, but I think overall less competition is a good thing, as long as you realize what less competition means, and that means less ad dollars. So that leads into the next part that I'm excited about just as equally, is I just think the economy is really strong right now, and things. There's a lot of people with a lot of extra money, and wages are going up, and people are going back to work, and it's really pretty cool stuff. And I just think that's a huge opportunity for us to raise our averages, to definitely get people to buy a few more things, a few more extra clients that maybe 5 years ago may not have had the extra money to do portraits. Now they do. So I think that's really awesome. So not only smaller competition, but then also just, I think, more money flowing around, I think is really awesome for our industry over the next, let's call it 3-4 years. I see it being a really huge positive for us.
So I think that's really exciting, definitely. And I've seen it, and I didn't really understand it completely, but it makes sense because our senior season typically drops completely off in August, but it is continued to go, and we're continuing to get people contacting us. And I think it's because we have kept ourselves top of mind with our social media. And we are doing some Instagram advertising, but we're definitely keeping ourselves top of mind with just our interactions and our high school seniors posting our images. So that makes complete sense. So just because when you're saying that, like I often have like, okay, what are the action items from this? And so my 2 action items that I hear from this would be 1, advertise and keep yourself top of mind. And number 2 would be plan to reach out to old clients to sell portrait sessions, and plan to try to sell more like wall portraits and things for the home, because so many people are spending money on their home now that they weren't before.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, or would you add?
I totally agree. Yeah, no, people are not only buying new homes and relocating, and that's a huge opportunity for our industry, but also, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that, people in the house was only working part-time and they both really wanted to work full-time. They may not have pulled the trigger on, decorating their walls. It was, there was a time when they were just focused on the necessities. Well, I just think there's extra cash right now. So huge opportunity for us to really capitalize on some of those dollars that are flowing around right now.
I wonder if even going back and saying, hey, now we have a, wall portrait sale for anything that we've shot in the last 5 years or something. I mean, I could see that being something usable for people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, because maybe they passed on it and they were like, man, I really wish I would have, done that wall portrait. And there's nothing wrong with saying, it's either still available or we can photograph a new set of pictures for you, and they may take you up on it for sure. Because a few extra bucks, I mean, it's like they'll either spend it with you or they're going to go down to Home Depot and buy lawn furniture or something with it. So they might as well spend it with you. It's all the same. It's all home improvement type stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, let's move on to the lightning round. So this is an opportunity for, we'll ask questions quickly and just give a lot of like actionable items for our listeners. So, okay. So first question on the lightning round is, what was holding you back from joining the photography industry?
So I think for us, what's holding me back is it was just putting both, like all of our eggs in one basket. And anytime you start a business, you're like, can this really support more than one person, or can it support both of us? And sometimes our business can be seasonal. So it has seasonality to it. And that can be scary, because then you're like, okay, am I going to make enough money in the fall to support me through the winter? And that just held me back, because I was like, I just don't want to run out of money, because then what do? We can't pay our bills and stuff. The truth is that never, ever happened. I mean, there was times when we had to, go without a few things, but it was really like luxury items. It was like one less vacation or one less conference we went to, or, we just, instead of pulling the trigger, buying like packaging for our business, we just shopped around a little bit to see if we could find a cheaper packaging option for the next year or whatever. And it just made us good business people. And so I was just worried about that, like running out of money. But to be honest with you, we've been doing it for 11 years and we've never run out of money. So that fear, I don't feel like it was based in reality.
Well, I think it's a smart fear to have, because that can happen. But yes, sure. I think that's good. Well, and my advice to people in that situation is save it up. If you have a year's salary for the person you're concerned about, then have that in savings before you jump off the ledge, so that you've got that cushion.
Yeah,
and
sure.
And I think with a photography business, that's something you can do. You can put money aside to prepare for whatever the next big step you want to take is. So what is the best advice you've ever received, Matt?
So this actually happened I wouldn't say recently, but later in our career. And 2 things happened at once. And one was that somebody was like, you need to do Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, which people make fun of all the time. It's like the whole envelope thing where you budget everything. And he's got a great podcast and YouTube channel and stuff like that. Yeah, books. But we actually paid the $100 and had him, he mailed us like all the books, and I think we watched it on like DVD or something like that. But I think they have it online as well now. But it was like, 6 or 7 nights worth of Financial Peace University, and it was awesome. I know they also do in a lot of cities, you can go and like meet with a group of people and do it.
Yes. Yeah. We've done that class and actually taught that class. That's so funny. We've never talked about this before.
Right.
So, okay, go ahead.
So we did that, like, I bet we did it 4 years ago. And for 4 straight years, every month, Alison and I have made a personal budget, and it's been amazing, like what it did to our finances. I brought so much debt to our relationship, like credit card debt, car debt, student loan debt. Alison was in a different situation. Her parents basically supported her all the way through college and stuff. And so she brought no debt, but I brought enough for the both of us. And so
we had to work through it. Matt. You were a catch.
I was a catch.
You were quite a catch.
But we worked through it. And so, like, I think it's been like 3.5 years, because I bet we did it like in January. So it's coming up on 4 years, and we're completely debt free now, which is awesome. And our business isn't really much bigger than it was then, but it's just so much more efficient. So we went through Financial Peace University, changed our lives. It wasn't always easy, but it really is. It's amazing. And it's so crazy. I spend more, like I buy more stuff now than I did when I was in debt. But I can afford it all. It's amazing. Like fly fishing stuff, I just go purchase it now because I know exactly how much I can afford, and it's really cool. Anyways, so that was the first thing I got, is like do Financial Peace University. But that led into me trying to figure out what that meant for my business. So I looked all over Dave Ramsey to see how budgeting and financial peace and stuff would work in our business. And I couldn't really find what I liked. And then maybe a year and a half ago, we found a book called Profit First, and I'll link it in the show notes.
Okay.
And
okay, good.
It's a very similar idea. You don't have envelopes, but the idea is that all the money comes into like an income account, and then you divide that up into different accounts. And so you have an operating expense account, you have a payroll account, you have a profit account, you have I'm trying to remember what the other ones are now, but we have like 5 accounts, and we just added a new one where one of my goals always is to put more money in our investments. And so now we're just allocating money every 2 weeks to that. So on the 10th and the 25th, you take whatever's in your income account and you just divide them on your other accounts. And so then when payroll comes, you just take the payroll out of the payroll account. If you have something that you want to spend for your business, you look and see if there's money in your operating expense account. And I heard some of this stuff really early. Like we went to SMS through PPA and worked with Julia Woods.
Studio Management Services.
Yeah, and we worked with Julia Woods, and she talked about how you have to have like an account for equipment. Anyway, so you just divide it up all based by percentages. And so the book is totally worth buying, and it's awesome. So we put that in place, and it's been amazing for our business. Like we always were like profitable, but it was like, it always felt like, okay, like we worked really hard. There should be more money. And now it's like, it just feels like everything's getting paid and there's always money left over. And it's really awesome. So that changed our business. What's really interesting about it is how I was looking for it. When you start looking for something, it just pops up. I was actually looking for this idea, and I was exploring. And then all of a sudden, a photographer that I had met through a conference, she had posted this thing like, I'm reading this book and everybody should read it. And she was talking to her friends, but I'm Facebook friends with her. And I clicked on it I just happened to see it when I had time to click on it. And I was like, this might be exactly what I'm looking for. And I went down to the local bookstore, and sure enough, they had it, because that guy, I think his name's like Michael or something like that. Again, I'll link it below. He had just spoke at our college. And so like the bookstore had like a pile of his books. And I walked in and I got it and I read it and told Alison like 3 days later, I'm like, we're putting this in place. And she's like, okay, I trust you. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. If you want to save money and not spend money, like this is a whole new Matt, but I'm going to go with it. And it's been awesome. So anyways.
That's really exciting. So we did Dave Ramsey, and we were debt free really quickly because we did not come into like the relationship with debt. But I was at that point already doing all of the books for our large photography studio. And I kept trying to figure out how can I apply these concepts to the photography business. And because in financial peace, the concept is to have 3 to 6 months of savings. But when you talk about 3 to 6 months of operating expenses for your business, that is a huge chunk of money and really hard to actually save up. And so I kept trying to figure out ways to apply it. And even his book, Entre Leadership, I didn't feel like it laid it out perfectly. So I'm super excited to check out this book that you talked about, Profit First, because I feel like when you have that money just set aside and you know what it's going for and you don't touch it for anything else, it takes away all that mystery of wondering, where did the money go? What do I need for it? So I've kind of created my own systems, but I think it's going to be exciting to see that. That'll be fun to see.
Yeah. And so I remembered a couple of the other accounts. So like we have a sales tax account. So every time sales taxes due every quarter, it just gets paid. It's amazing. Like that was awesome in itself. It right out. Yeah. And then we also have a tax one, which is like our end of year taxes. Because what always happened in our business is we always had this money sitting after the fall was sitting there, and then we do our taxes, and like a huge chunk of it always went to the government. So now we have an account that has thousands of dollars in it waiting for the end of the year.
And you don't feel like it's yours.
No, because it's like in a separate account. And we don't have we don't have ATM cards or checkbooks attached to them because we just transfer some of the money online, and then it's really hard. Basically, you close yourself out from certain accounts, like the operating expense one. Yeah, you better believe there's an ATM card attached to it and all that stuff, and you can have a Visa card and you can spend. But the other ones, like you have to actually like go in and transfer, and just that mental game of having to do that, you're like, okay, this is not working.
This is not easy money to get to.
Yeah, and one of the other things that he makes you do is every quarter you take half of your profit money out and you have to spend it on something that you really want to do. Like you have to reward yourself in your business because your business needs to supply for you what, the lifestyle you want. And so like, it's just so fun. Like we're coming up on the end of a quarter here pretty soon. And then like the very first time we bought Alison a really nice fly rod that she never would have spent money on herself. But I was like, you have to do something you want. And our hobby is fly fishing. So she bought $1,000 rod that thought was crazy, but she loves it and it's awesome.
And she enjoys it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last quarter, we had just moved into a new house. And so we had this extra profit money. And I was like, what do you want to do with it? And she's like, I'd really want new patio furniture. And I'd really like some art on our walls. And it was so nice to be able to say, like, let's just go do it. And it feels so good when your business supplies back to you. You're like, oh, this is why I'm in business. It's so cool. Anyways, totally worth the read. It's amazing.
I also use an app called Digit that pulls out a small amount every day. And we use that to build up money to travel or things like that with, that doesn't feel like it's part of it. So it's kind of that concept, but I'm definitely going to read that book.
I would love to add Digit on top of what I'm already doing. And that way, like it almost was like sneaks a little bit of money out for my investments out of my operating expense. That would be really cool. Cause then.
Well, I'll send you a link if you don't have Digit already so that I can get the kickback for it.
Perfect. Well, we can put
$5 for me.
Perfect. Well, we can put the link in the show notes too.
I'm just kidding. Okay. That was a longer lightning round answer, but I think it's so helpful to actually have plans for what you're going to do with your money and how it's going to benefit your business and your family. So that's really exciting to hear, Matt.
Yeah, so, I'm like a book guru, so like I'm sure I'll mention a couple more books before we get done because I love
we'll have Matt's reading list from every interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so next in the lightning round is share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Oh, well, that's funny because that came from a book as well. One of my personal habits that I do, it came from a book, and the book is self-explanatory. The book is Never Eat Lunch Alone. And so the concept of the book is that you never eat lunch alone. And the idea is whether you're calling somebody to talk to like a friend at lunch or you do some kind of business networking meeting or something like that, that lunch is a really good opportunity for you to network and to grow your relationships around you. So sometimes you have to allocate that lunch time to your husband or wife. Sometimes it's like I said, it can be business. Sometimes it can be just calling an old friend that you need to catch up with. But I think it really moves your life forward. And so I try really hard not to eat lunch alone and to use that time to grow.
Well, that's really fun. So yesterday, who did you eat lunch with?
So yesterday was a Sunday because we're recording this on a Monday, and I actually ate lunch alone. Oh, wait, I didn't eat lunch alone. That's really funny. Okay, I was going to eat lunch alone because I was going to watch the Broncos play football, and then it got blocked, and so I couldn't watch it on my local channel. So I actually had to go down to a hotel to watch the game because they had the Sunday ticket. And what's so interesting is I showed up, and there was 50 other people there that had the same problem I had. And 3 or 4 of them were people in town that I network up with all the time. One of the guys owns a local coffee chain. And another guy actually owns a giant international business that they make beer and sell it worldwide. So I sat with them and we watched the Broncos game together. So I actually networked.
But, sometimes I think when you have something like that in your head, even if you don't make it if you don't plan it exactly, when the opportunity comes up, you're like, oh, okay, this is the opportunity to do what I thought I was thinking I wanted to do.
Yeah, it just becomes totally a habit of just reaching out to people around that time. So,
yeah. Okay. So, recommend an internet resource.
Yeah. So if I was recommending an internet resource, what I would do, and just in general, I wouldn't probably give you an exact resource, but in general, is I would look outside of our industry for marketing ideas and stuff. So there's a number of places I follow, like digitalmarketer.com and stuff like that. They always have really good information about how to run Facebook ads or how to set up different marketing systems. Because what I've realized over the years as I've been to more and more marketing masterminds and things is that all businesses are the same. They just look different. The service you supply is different, but a lot of the marketing techniques that we do in the photography industry could be done in the chiropractic industry or, the hair salon industry and stuff like that. So sometimes going outside of your industry and looking at some of these marketing sites, you're like, oh, I can apply that to photography, and it's really helpful.
Yeah. And I think that what you've done in your photography business to market is different than what a lot of other photographers are doing, because that you've adjusted to what is working. And the way you've done that is by looking outside the industry. Well,
and every couple of years, this year's going to be really tough. We have to figure out what we're going to do. But most years I do some photography. I go to PPA or imaging. I speak at a couple state conventions. So I listen to everybody there, and I go to WPPI. But then there's years where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to any of the big conferences in our industry. I'm just going to marketing. So I've been to some really cool ones. A couple of times I've been to Traffic and Conversion, which is this huge marketing conference in San Diego. And it's just done so well and just so many smart people. And it's just sometimes so refreshing to go to something like that. So then the other thing I do, I sign up for a lot of marketing masterminds where I go to Phoenix a couple times a year and sit with 10 other marketers. And we just talk about our industries and our issues. And I've brought ideas from our industry to other people. And I'll give you an example. One of the last ones I went to, there was a guy that works in insurance. He works for farmers, and he shared all of farmers insurance marketing ideas, what they do with the birthday club and all this other stuff. And it was amazing. I was like, yeah. So I have a list from him of things that farmers does that we could implement in our business over the next couple of years. So definitely get out of the industry if you can for a while.
Well, and that just adds so much to your enjoyment of your work, because you have a list of new things. So you're not doing the same thing over and over and, having to just do it doesn't become boring to you. It's exciting because you're trying new things and seeing what works. So that's great.
It's exciting to me. Alison, I think, wants to kill me sometimes because she's like, another new idea. I'm like, but this one's going to be amazing. And she's like, you need to settle down.
And then is there any other book that's top of mind? I know you've shared The Financial Peace, which is a book, but it's also a class, and The Profit First. But is anything else jump out to you that you would say, read this book today? You really need to learn from this.
Yeah. The very first book that we read that really moved the needle or kind of steered the ship was Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. And we read that early, maybe the second year of our business, and it put us on a trajectory that we would never be where we are today without it. So it was a really good book. It's general business, kind of how to set up business. And he just does a really good job of wording it. So Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. It's been around for a long time now, but by far it probably had more impact on our business than anything else. And then because we were so successful, then we we really needed profit first just to keep us in line for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much for sharing. I'm super excited about our upcoming interviews with other photographers where we get to learn about them. But I think it's so important that we know who you are and kind of where you're coming from in the industry. So can you share with us the best ways that we can connect with you and any parting guidance?
Sure. So if you want to see our photography and our work, for inspiration, you can just follow us on almost all the social media platforms at Alison Ragsdale. You'll see that we don't have business accounts separate than our personal accounts, but that's the best way to see our photography. If you want to know more about some of the marketing techniques that I use and things like that, you could just go to matthoaglin.com. It's matthoaglin.com. And I'll link all that below in the show notes as well, because I have a ton of free videos on there that you can watch and then classes you can purchase, and you can set up time to talk to me and stuff like that as well. So my website probably is the best. If you follow me at matthoaglin.com or at Matt Hoaglin on any of social media, all you're going to see is fly fishing pictures. So if you're into fly fishing, you can follow me.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you for listening to From Nothing to Profit, a photographer's podcast with Matt and Kaya. Be sure to subscribe for more business strategy and ideas to help you create the profitable and successful business you've always wanted. See you on the next episode of From Nothing to Profit.